What's something that you can't get mad at your kids about because they get it from you? I was, like the elf on a shelf thing. I don't know if you all know this, but there's this sort of Christmas related tradition. It's sort of like the Advent calendar leading up to Christmas. Some people do this thing where there's like an stuffed elf that you put somewhere and you move it around the house, and the kids think that the elf is magically moving at night. In the morning, they have to go find it. I did something a little bit different. I had an Advent calendar, but I told the kids that the elves hide the Advent calendar. Advent calendar, for those of you who don't know, is like every day of December leading up to Christmas, there's like a little tiny door, and behind that door, there's like a chocolate or a candy or a toy or something like that. And our Advent calendar was like, it was a fairly substantial thing. And I would move it around the house after they went to sleep, and then put little notes in the door for the next day, and they would open it up and they'd find a note from the elves and a little gift of some sort. And one year I forgot to do it, and it was like December 5th, and the kids were like, "What's going on? Like, why aren't the elves leaving the Advent calendar?" And I was like, "I don't know. What's wrong with those elves? They lazy, useless elves." And then I wrote a little letter for the kids from the elves saying, we were stuck in a snowstorm. We went to visit our friends on the other side of town, but then there was that snowstorm and we got stuck over there. We tried to come back on foot, and then one of us got frostbite, and it was like there's a long-winded excuse of why it had taken so long. But finally they found a deer who was willing to let them like crawl up into its fur and carry them across town, and now they're back and everything's fine, and they're back to where they normally live, which is in the walls of our house year round. And so then the kids were like, "The elves live in our walls?" And I was like, "I don't know, right? Read the letter. Apparently, yes, they live in our walls." And so sometime in the summer, I came home from shooting, and I got home, and West had a hammer, and he was demolishing the house. He was just like pounding a hole in the drywall of our mudroom, like at the entryway in the house. He was just like pounding a hole, a big old gaping hole. And I was like, "West, what are you doing? You can't just take a hammer to the wall like that." And by the way, he's way too old to be doing something like that. It's like he knows you don't pound a hole in a wall. And he was like 8. And he said, "I'm looking for the elves." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool. I get it." I can't be mad at you for that, because the elves live in the walls. So he got it from me, and I couldn't be mad at him. I was mad at him briefly. A question about a short film about an airport. Oh, how did this idea come about, and how much did you laugh while writing it? This is from Natasha. This is about the TSA shorts. My wife and my friend Philip and I co-wrote, and I directed and starred in, and Daniil Ackles is in one episode, and a few other friends show up in those episodes. They're very short. If you haven't seen them, I think that they're worth watching. They're kind of funny. And the idea came from going through TSA checkpoints. I went through a TSA, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen it, the little shorts that we made, I think you can find them on YouTube, or I think they're actually on Apple TV or something. It's called TSA America Level Orange. Daniil's episode is particularly gross. The inspiration came from watching, it was like early on after the TSA, like real intensive security checkpoints at airports were implemented. And I watched this old man who couldn't walk without his walker. be forced to like go through the metal detector without his walker, but he couldn't walk, and he basically ended up like having to crawl through it. And I was like, what the hell is happening here? Like and obviously it wasn't like they weren't properly following protocol. These must have been like, you know, the TSA itself was new, but these agents were obviously new. They didn't know what they were doing. But I was like, whoa, this can't be happening. And that sort of just inspired the idea of the stories. I went through a TSA checkpoint once, and one of the guy that was giving me a pat down because I had set off the metal detector was he was like, I've seen your TSA shorts. And I was like, oh shit, he's gonna like take me into the back room and give me a cavity search. I'm in huge trouble. And he was like, that was hilarious stuff, man. Good on you. So it was like, thank God. I now set off the metal detectors because of my titanium hips.